Most security teams operate under a dangerous assumption. If the source system is secure, the data is secure. Hi, I'm Kopadula. I'm from Cyberhaven, and today we're looking at why that assumption is wrong and how your sensitive data is leaking through fragments you didn't even know existed. You spend your budget locking down the systems, the HR database, the CRM, or the 53 S3 buckets that you have in production. You implement access controls, encryption, logging, you name it, you've got it in place. But here's the reality. The breach point is rarely the source file you lock down. The breach point is the shadow fragment created 3 months ago, modified by 3 different users and sitting on an unmanaged endpoint. Your risk isn't static, it is kinetic. It travels. Data at rest is a simple battle to win. Data in motion is where you lose the war. The villain is no longer just the hacker breaking into the vault. It now includes the slow, silent multiplication of your data across 1,000 unmonitored channels. This is the fragmentation problem. One regulated file doesn't stay a file, it becomes a CSV export on a laptop. Then it becomes a screenshot in Slack, then a snippet in a local Python script. Finally, it gets pasted into an AI tool. You are guarding the vault door while the assets are being carried out the back window in pieces. So the critical question is practical. How do you track sensitive data after it's exported and transformed into 47 different versions? To answer that, you have to stop relying on the clean inventory fallacy. You run a scan and feel in control, but that inventory is obsolete the moment the scan finishes. Static tagging only works on files at rest, but your data is never at rest. Tags rarely stick to the derivative. When a user exports a report to CSV, the classification tag falls off. When they screenshot a dashboard, the metadata vanishes. Once the data leaves the original container, it becomes invisible to your controls. The moment data moves, it sheds its context. A sensitive PII record in a database is secure. That same record into a temporary text file is vulnerable. That text file pasted into a translation tool is compromised. The villain here is the movement itself. Every hop across an application boundary strips away the security context you rely on, leaving you with content that looks benign but carries the same toxic liability as the source. This is why data leaks originate from fragments rather than the source. The fragments are invisible. They exist in a blind spot that traditional tools weren't designed to see. Let's take data loss prevention into account. Legacy DLP relies on pattern matching, regular expressions, to look for strings that resemble credit card numbers or social security numbers. This creates 2 massive problems: false positives and zero context. Tune rules tightly to avoid noise and you miss risks. If you loosen them, your SOC drowns in alerts. But the bigger issue is the context void. A standard DLP alert tells you what looks like a credit card number, but it can't tell you if that credit card number is a dummy data from a test environment or real customer data from production. It treats developers' test scripts the same way it treats a customer list export. So you turn to traditional data security posture management. DSPM can give you some visibility, even if it is often incomplete. But the real problem is that it cannot act on what it finds. Meanwhile, traditional DLP tries to catch data at the exit point, the firewall, or the USB port. That is almost always too late, and it happens without the proper history. This is why we built the Cyberhaven Unified AI and Data Security Platform. It delivers lineage-focused DSPM that actually enhances comprehensive DLP. Instead of guessing based on what a file looks like right now, Cyberhaven tracks where it came from. Instead of guessing based on what a file looks like right now, Cyberhaven tracks its provenance and every action taken on that file, understanding who the true owner is. The system logs the lineage of the data payload itself, the copy from the browser, the paste into the spreadsheet, the save to the USB. It maps the flow. Without this distinction between a source file and a harmless derivative, you can't enforce policy. You end up blocking valid work or letting sensitive fragments drift into unmanaged environments, such as personal cloud storage. The gap isn't in your policy, it's in your visibility. If you want a framework to cut through that noise and scope the incident immediately, check out the next video on the 5 questions every leak investigation needs to answer.